Let's go, it's the Whitey Show. Whitey Show. Whitey Show. Whitey Show. Whitey Show. So the story of Green Lantern, the video game, I assume is taking place after the movie. Hal already knows how to use his powers, and he uses the ring in a lot of different ways. Whereas the movie, it seems more of an origin story from what I get from the trailers. I could be wrong on this. So overall, I would have to say I was enjoying how the Green Lantern works and how the powers of the ring work and everything. I didn't find the actual story to be anything special, though. Most of it was just to find out who betrays you, and the other half was a rescue mission. So while it's interesting learning about the Green Lanterns themselves, I wouldn't say the actual story itself of, betrayal and finding your buddy was all that fun to go through. On a good note, though, the actual voice acting was great. It feels genuine, and I never had any of those cringe-worthy movie moments where, like, did he really just say that? Also, I'm pretty sure Ryan Reynolds did the voice acting for Hal, and it's great to just see, an actor from the movies portray the character in the video game too, which again you don't see a lot in the movie games. So it was really a nice treat. Great voice acting, exploring the worlds of the Green Lantern. Actually did prove to be fun enough to go through. I just wish the actual story was a little more beefier, I guess.
I now understand why the Owens sent you. You are very good.
And you're not too shabby yourself.
The graphics of this game are probably the biggest surprise. The graphics are some of the best for a movie game. They won't win any awards unless we're making a category for movie games, but even so, they're up to date with the actual games of this generation. That barely ever happens with movie games. The effects look great and the movements are nice and smooth. Overall, the graphics are great and sure give you off that vibe from the comic and the movie. The only thing I was wishing for were some interesting environments. A lot of them were boring and a lot of them repeat. Also, not enough enemy types overall in the game. Sadly, while it seems polished in most areas, it just doesn't quite live up to the potential it could have been. But in the end, I'm going to say it's a pretty damn good looking game. Now this is where it counts. This is where movie games fail the most. Sometimes they have pretty graphics, sometimes they even have a decent story, but the gameplay usually falls short. Does it fall short on Green Lantern? Well, the gameplay feels like most modern-day action titles. You'll use light and heavy attack to mix it up in fighting. You'll also be doing a few puzzles every so often, little platforming, though most of it is basically just clicking A at one point to jump to the next area, which, by the way, looks badass. You'll collect a few experience points and gems, and you'll be able to upgrade Hal as the game progresses, giving you a slight and light RPG feel to it. Now, before I get any farther into the details of the good game, let's talk about the bad real fast. There really isn't too much bad in the gameplay except for two things. One would be the glitches. I must have ran into at least 8 or 9 glitches, which mostly are just getting stuck at a point. In which place you can't continue unless you reload. It's like small things like one of your partner in that level, she's supposed to break the crystals. For some reason it doesn't trigger the event, and you're just kind of waiting there like, you gonna break that thing, woman? And she never does anything, so you have to reload. And that almost always, actually that fixed the problem every time. And since there's so many checkpoints, it's not too annoying, but still, that's a lack of polish. The other problem is the enemies. You're basically only fighting around 5 or 6 bad guys. It wouldn't be too bad, except that you will just be pounding away at most of them. You won't be using strategy on most of them, and it's just kind of just repeatedly beating up the same bad guys. And it could get boring. Now let's move on to the good. Note, I said it could get boring. Now you get special powers with the ring, such as creating huge hammers, Gatling guns, exploding grenades, or even turning into a huge motherfucking mech. There are over 10 powers and each one is unique and actually really fun to use. On top of using them in combat, you can even use them in puzzles and platforming. But real fast, let's get back to the combat. This makes the combat so much better and fun to actually destroy the bad guys with. So switching between all the different special ring powers definitely gives Green Lantern its own identity in the action game universe. And like I said, well, it's kind of boring to fight the same enemies again. Giving you all these different powers to mess with definitely helps make it more fun and diverse. now we get to the major section, the enjoyment. Whitey, did you enjoy Green Lantern while you were playing it? I would say that movie games almost always suck. It's a known fact that chances of having a decent movie game is rare. However, once in a while, this little movie game title slips in and it shows you that there could very well be good movie games. We had Riddick. We had Wolverine's Origins. Hell, I even thought Hulk was halfway decent game. Nothing amazing, but it was fun destroying shit. Now I rented Green Lantern, expecting it to be complete and utter garbage, especially right after playing Thor. In turn, I got a polished, great looking, and even sometimes exciting comic book game. The game will offer you about an 8-hour gameplay, session. Though you can replay it on harder difficulties, I promise you that this game can be challenging on harder difficulties, so be aware. I'm not saying it's going to be the hardest game ever, but it will kick your ass at times. Also, there's a co-op option in the game, so it could be fun to have a friend tag along a second time around. It's hard for me to really judge Green Lantern, cause I still have to speak on its flaws, but the goods in this game truly make it recommendable. As a person who knows nothing about Green Lantern's character, I didn't even know his name was Hal. I had to say, I really enjoyed this game. Double Helix proves they can create a good movie game once again. So with that, I'm going to award Green Lantern with a 7.5. Boom shakalaka go.